An official big and warm welcome to our Ouchigohan tonight. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Yuko Handa and I'm the Executive Director of the Japan Society of Boston. I see some familiar faces and I definitely see faces and names that I haven't seen before. So hajimemashite for those of you who I have not seen, and welcome back for those of you who've joined us before. This is the Ouchigohan series, is a collaboration between the Japan Society of Boston, Japan America Society of Georgia, Japan America Society of Houston, and we now have two new societies, two new friends, Japan America Society of Philadelphia and Japan America Society of Washington, D.C. And we hope this is going to keep growing. So not only is this a wonderful occasion for us to get together, cook together, learn a little bit about Japanese food, but I hope this is also a wonderful opportunity for you all to kind of connect with Japan enthusiasts that's outside of your states. So with that said, I know you didn't come here to see me talk. I'd like to introduce Deb Samuels. Deb, I have to admit, is my favorite Japanese cooking teacher, as well as my favorite Japanese cook. Deb, I think every time I learn something new from you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And Deb is an author. She has two wonderful books. I'm going to write the titles of the book in chat in a little bit. This is Christmas season. Last year, I know, Deb, I sent your book to some of my friends as Christmas gifts. They really all liked the book that I gave. So hint, hint, for those of you who's doing end of the year holiday shopping, there's Deb's books. And like I said, I promise I will write it in chat. But without further ado, here is Deb.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming on a Saturday evening. It's a cold, rainy night. Well, it's a warm, rainy night in Boston, actually. Shout out to the Japanese soccer team who made it in for the World Cup. Woohoo! Sorry about the Americans. We went down today, but anyway, thank you for having me back. This is our third session of Ouchigohan. Many of you may already know what Ouchigohan means, but it's another word for kate ryori, which is home cooking. And so this is the kind of food that you'll mostly find people making at home. Maybe some of your restaurant favorites that we are also going to cook. For those of you who don't know me, I don't know how many of you are new. We'd love to have you put in the chat where you're calling in from. I've lived in Japan for 12 years altogether, over a period of, I hate to say it now, almost 50 years. I started going to Japan as a college student on a study abroad program. Many of you, I hope, have had the opportunity to do that. It is a life-changing experience for many people. So I won't go into my whole background or anything, but just to let you know, I did live in Japan. I do speak Japanese for the most part, and I've studied Japanese cooking for many, many years and have taught Japanese cuisine. I am working with an organization called Table for Two, and we do a program called Washokuiku, Learn, Cook, Eat Japanese. And so this is part of that program today. So we've got two parts to our session today. I'm going to do about a 10-minute PowerPoint presentation, and then we will spend most of the time cooking for you. Today's main course is a Salmon Teriyaki Bowl. So the main theme of the PowerPoint is fish and the role of fish in Japanese cuisine. And also you'll see, I'll be asking a couple of questions. So please feel free to ask questions at any time. Yuko is going to be able to field them, and you can also unmute yourself as well. All right, so I will get started now. Ouchigohan, Japanese home cooking with Table for Two, and all of the Japan societies that Yuko said. Today's menu is a salmon teriyaki bowl or salmon teriyaki don. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. A salad with carrot and ginger dressing. And this is kind of a Japanese, an American take on a salad dressing that is popular in Japan. And actually, I think invented here in the United States by a Japanese chef. It's like a salad on a salad, and you'll see that. And then for dessert, I usually like to introduce using sweet azuki beans to people who maybe have never had it before by putting it on top of vanilla ice cream, kind of like hot fudge sauce. So part of the goal with this program when we teach young people about Japanese cuisine is to expand their palates and also to make them want to try new things, so that you will see a lot of, some ingredients that you're mostly familiar with and in somewhat of a familiar form. But these are recipes now that everybody can do at home. Okay, so welcome to Wa Shokuiku. Many of you already speak Japanese, but for those who don't, Wa Shokuiku is a combination of two words, Wa Shoku. So in Japan, all kids from kindergarten all the way up through high school go through Shokuiku. This is part of their curriculum, just like math and social studies. I wish we did that here. And it teaches people about, not just about how to cook things, but good nutrition, farming practices, manners, all sorts of things that are very common to cooking and health in Japan. And so we put the words together, Wa Shokuiku, because that is what our program teaches. Now, usually we're also giving people a little bit of Japanese language. It's not konnichiwa anymore. So the way we get into the mood for this is when the teacher comes into the classroom, everybody stands at attention, puts their hands in front of them and says, Sensei, konnichiwa. And so we are welcoming the teacher in, and I am welcoming you in. All right. So everybody knows Japan is an island nation. I know I have a young boy here. So you can see that Japan is an island nation, which it has several islands, but it's surrounded by water. So they don't just get, fish from the ocean, but it's also lakes, beautiful, wonderful lakes all the way through the country. Japanese eat a variety of seafood and sea vegetables. So what kind of seafood do you like? We over here in Boston, we're on the coast. We have a massive amount of seafood here that's available to us, and which we're very lucky to have. But as we know, you can get anything anywhere at any time these days. But we have shellfish. This is all through the world and through Japan, clams, mussels, and oysters, mollusks, and octopus. Anybody like squid and octopus out there? All right, yes. Tuna, cod, and salmon. And I would like everybody to know that at least it used to be a major part of maguro or tuna comes from the Atlantic Ocean off of Boston and makes its way to Japan. At least it used to. I don't know as much now, but it did. And then here we have our sea vegetables, all different kinds of nori and seaweeds, and shellfish, crabs, shrimps, all sorts of fish. And these are some of the dishes, like you said, sushi, that you make with some of these, products, with these foods. So, popular fish in Japan. Salmon. And the way you say salmon in Japanese, it looks like sake or sake, but it's shake. You pronounce it shake. Maguro, yes, tuna maguro. Mackerel, saba, a dark, oily fish, not so commonly eaten here, at least in the Northeast. And when I have dishes for saba or mackerel, I usually substitute bluefish. So I at least have a dark fish.
But
Number
you can catch a lot of mackerel in the Boston area. It's actually becomes bait fish for tuna, unfortunately.
Oh, really? Bait fish? I didn't know that.
Yeah, but my husband catches saba all the time around here. So we're lucky for those of you in this area. I have fresh saba all the time.
Yes. Oh, wonderful. And number 6 is Pacific celery or sanma, also kind of in that family. And people really look forward to eating that in the fall. Japanese are very, seasonal foods are very important to them. And number 5, washi. And so that is also a fish that's very often eaten and grilled. Okay, let's look at some of the seaweeds that are popular in Japan that make the different types of seaweed that we have. So the first one over here, what do you think that one would be? You want to guess? This is the seaweed that makes nori, okay? And that we'll see where that's from. Anyone want to venture guess what the middle one might be? Let's see. Kombu. Maine is also a very strong producer of seaweeds now these days, and more people are eating it in a variety of different ways. And then this is wakame. So the different types of seaweeds create different types of products. Nori, kombu, wakame, all used in Japanese cuisine. We're not going to be using any of these today, but in a discussion about food from the sea, we can't leave it out. Yay, seaweed farm. Exactly. Nori farm, which is an advanced form of agriculture. So it said, and these are grown and these is dried and then processed. So that is what you see from up in the air. All right, so nutrients in seafood it's all very important. You get a lot of animal protein from that. These are grow foods, building your muscles, and all types of fish are in this category. Omega-3 fatty acids in the dark fleshed fish. You get it in a lot in mackerel, in salmon. You get a lot of omega-3, so it's very healthy, and that's your go-to. And your glow food is vitamins A and D. So it's really a very very healthy to be eating fish. High protein, low fat. And nutrients in seaweed are all pretty, obvious. It helps you to regulate your system. There's a lot of vitamin E in it, and it's very good, I understand, for hair, skin, all parts of your body, and excellent for digestion. And for those of us who are interested, almost no calories. So this is another thing to know about that.
And to add to that, my father is 84. His friend from high school is a kombu manufacturer. And he always tells me every year he goes back to some, get together. He says that friend is the only friend that still has lush black hair. And we definitely think it's him eating kombu every day, seaweed. So
just about ready to cook. And we're going to talk just a little bit more about the type of food that we're going to be making today. So we are making a salmon teriyaki don. You go around now and seeing salmon bowl this and bulgur bowl that and everything. And the concept is donburi, all from Japanese cuisine. Just making sure everybody knows their food allergies, you're cooking at home. And so I'm sure you all are aware of what you can and cannot eat. So donburi is a category of food where you have basically a bowl with rice and simmered food set on top of it. And these are wonderfully delicious, almost meals on their own. Oyakudon, chicken and egg. Yes, I don't know which one came first, but they're both on top of the bowl of rice. Very savory and very delicious. Anybody want to tell me about unagi don? Eel, exactly, eel. And a very delicious sweet type of a sauce. And now you can purchase that sauce on its own. It's called unagi sauce, which has no unagi in it. It is only the sauce that goes on top of the unagi. Gyudon, one of my favorites. What's gyudon? Beef and onions, very simple to make. Very, these share the ingredients of soy sauce and sugar. There's a lot of soy sauce and a lot of sugar in Japanese cuisine. And later Yuko's going to tell us why there's sugar in there. She told our group the last time. But it makes that sweet and salty and savory taste. Tendon, what is tendon? Shrimp, yes, shrimp tempura, fried tempura, where usually you have some fish and you have vegetables on top of rice. And finally, katsudon. Anybody want to know katsudon? Pork cutlets. Yes, fried pork cutlets. And again, on top of rice with this delicious soft egg mixture. All right, everybody, we are getting ready to make our own don, but we're going to start with our ginger dressing. Let me just stop my share. Okay, I'd like to ask those who are cooking, we're going to be doing the carrot ginger dressing first. How many people have a blender or a Cuisinart or anything that are you ready to use? And if not, okay, how many people have a grater, a hand grater? Okay, hand grater. All right, so I'm going to do it both ways, and I'm going to show everybody how you make this very delicious dressing. I'm going to switch my camera over to right here. Okay. All right, everyone. So our ingredients for this, we're going to be, this is a dressing that I think a lot of people find when they go to Japanese restaurants here. And it's usually served at the end over a wedge of lettuce, okay? But when you make a dressing with carrots, you've got two vegetables. You've got the carrots and you've got the lettuce. Today, I have you putting it on just a little salad. And this is a very cute heart cherry tomato that I'm going to show you all how to make later on. All right. So let's get our ingredients ready. So I have one carrot. I have two carrots peeled. One so that I can show you how to do it if you're grating it, and one if you're going to be using a blender. If you have a blender or Cuisinart, I would recommend that. It will really make things very smooth. So we've got our carrots. We have rice vinegar. Everybody have their ingredients ready? We have sesame oil. Okay. We have soy sauce. I have a little soy sauce already measured. And sugar. All right. You want to make sure everybody has all of your equipment already and out. And I have this handy dandy little blender here that I'm going to use. And if you don't have a blender, I have multiple options for graters. Okay. Thing is you want to do is to get it small. And this is more of an American style grater. Okay. So you'll show me what you have when we get ready. All right. So blender first, everybody. Here we go. So I'm going to take one carrot and we're going to cut it up into small pieces. Oh, I'm sorry. Ginger is also one of the important ingredients here. Okay. So we're going to cut up the carrot into somewhat small pieces. If you are grating the carrot, do not cut it. Do not cut it because you're going to need to scrape it like this. All right. So, oh, and I also want to make sure everybody has their rice ready to put their salmon on. Okay. So let's cut up the carrot into small pieces. I've already peeled it. All right. Hope everybody is with me. Like this. Okay. The reason we're doing this first is because we want to make sure that you got the salmon teriyaki don nice and hot when you're ready to eat it. So that's why we're starting with our carrot dressing. All right. And I'm going to take the carrots and I'm going to put them right into my blender. Okay. Like this. Let me just make this a little bit higher. All right. Then we have some ginger, and you need fresh ginger for this. Dry ginger is not a substitute. Better just to leave it out. But there are several ways that you can peel ginger. But one of my favorite ways is with a back of a spoon, like that. And that way you keep most of the flesh on it, and you get very, very thin part of the skin off. All right. And so what we're going to do, I've already peeled some of it, is we're going to cut about 1 inch, depending on how much you like ginger and whether you like it spicy. Can be pretty spicy. So I'm just going to cut it into small rounds like that. Okay. And I think that's probably about enough. Some people also use miso in this dip. That's a really nice addition to it, makes it kind of creamy. So now I'm going to put my ginger in like that. If you are grating your carrot, let me just show you here. If you have the smallest part of your grater is what you want, and you're just going back and forth like this. Okay, if you're grating. So what you want is a really, really small pieces so that it kind of dissolves into the dressing. If they're not that small, it'll still be delicious. Don't worry about it. Just use whatever grater you can to get the smallest amount. And so while, for those of you who are not using a blender, please grate your carrot like that. Okay. All right. And if you are grating the carrot, you also have to grate the ginger as well. All right. So you'll be grating your ginger like that. And you'll be making it very mushy. All right. All right. So now we've got our carrot, ginger. You need 3 tablespoons of oil. Okay. 3 tablespoons of oil. Let me just get my spoon here. All right. I've already measured my oil, but many of you know that when you measure something, you don't measure over the spot that you're going to be using. You measure outside, so in case you have a spill or something, you don't get too much in. So 3 tablespoons of oil are going to go in now. If you don't have canola oil, olive oil has a very distinctive flavor, which is not that conducive to Japanese cuisine, but if it's the only oil you have, use it, or grapeseed oil, but generally an oil that has very little flavor in this case. Okay. The next thing we're going to add, I think it's 1 teaspoon of soy sauce, which I pre-measured. Okay. You want to measure yours outside of the bowl and right in here. Okay. And then 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. If you don't have rice vinegar, you can use cider vinegar. You can even use regular vinegar, but it's more mild. All right. I'm going to measure and show you how I do measure. It's 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. You can see I'm doing it over another bowl. 1, 2. It's 2 tablespoons of rice vinegar. I always have to remind myself to close my containers because I'm very awkward and move around and I generally spill things. So I always have to be careful. 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. And this is very important to measure off the side because it's a very strong flavor. And if you don't measure it carefully, it can overpower the entire thing. All right, so a teaspoon of sesame oil. And then in. You can always add things as well afterwards to make it more flavorful if you want. And 1 teaspoon of sugar, which I have already measured. Okay. There's no salt in here because I have the soy sauce, but you may want to add it afterwards. White miso is milder, but I don't think it would make such a difference if you put in the red. I would probably choose white if you have a choice. Okay, I choose white if you have a choice. Okay, so I've got the ginger, the canola oil, the rice vinegar, the soy sauce, sesame oil, sugar, and carrot. Thumbs up if everybody's with me. Okay, we are going to.
I see lots of thumbs up.
All right.
Deb.
All right. So my blender is on and we'll get ready and go. As you can see, it's getting nice and creamy. Okay, this is a blender that I usually take around when we teach, so it's not as strong as my other ones. But I just want to make sure how we're doing there. Oh yeah, it's beginning to, yeah, you can see that nice orange color. So the carrots are doing. Now, I need to mix that around. Do not put metal in there. Use a chopstick if you need to do that. And I may need to do this in my Cuisinart. It may not be strong enough. I just wanted to see, to have it so that you all could see what I was doing. So let's try again. All right. All right, now mine is coming through. Let's see. Oh yeah. I have a couple of chunks here. But one more time. So I think we're probably all ready. Mine, I have to put in my Cuisinart to make it a little bit smaller because mine didn't chunk up, that didn't dissolve that well. So I'll do that in a minute, but we're going to move on to the next one. So I want to move on to our next thing, and I'm going to put mine in the Cuisinart afterwards when we're ready to do that. All right, so just give me 1 minute to clear off my table. We're going next to the Salmon Teriyaki Bowl. All right, I'm just going to clean up my space here.
Deb, we have a question. Should people be pouring the dressing into a bowl or a jar in the meantime?
Pour your dressing into a bowl or a pitcher or something. And actually, I will show you. I keep a lot of this dressing on hand. So this is my carrot dressing, and I always keep it in a jar like that. So if you have a chance, put it into a jar or a bowl, because you don't want to put it on top of anything now. Stick it in the fridge for a little while, but this is basically what it looks like. Yuko-san, anything else you can put this on? Do you have any?
Actually, please don't think that this is a normal Japanese person thing. And I think I saw Ikuyo-san and Yoko-san, you can join, but I actually put it on tofu. You know, when I get tired of just doing tofu with katsuobushi and soy sauce, and I want something a little bit different, I put it on soy sauce. Or I actually even put it on salmon actually sometimes when I want something new, because it goes well, I think. with practically anything. I mean, really, oil, sesame oil, my daughter doesn't like carrots, so unfortunately it's not her thing, but canola oil, ginger, chunks of carrot, soy sauce.
All right, everybody, we're getting our salmon ready. And is anybody using tofu instead of salmon? Do we have anybody using tofu instead of salmon? Okay. All right. I'm going to take the salmon out. All right. I just will show you. I'm going to switch my camera again. Here is my piece of salmon. Okay. It does have skin on it. So I'm going to show you how to cut it and take the skin off. If anybody was to do this with tofu, it's really quite delicious. You should use firm tofu, and you should wrap it. You want to relieve some of the moisture, and you wrap it in paper towels. I mean, there are many, many different ways to do this, but this has been wrapped for about, I don't know, let me just put this down because I'd like to show you how much liquid comes out of tofu when you wrap it that would not normally go in there. So if you can see what I have here, that's a lot of liquid that you're not cooking. Okay, so that's one of the important things. And afterwards, we can talk a little bit about different ways to drain tofu. Okay, so I've got my salmon. I've got one zucchini. If you want, you can use zucchini and yellow squash if you want. I've got my carrots. Okay, everybody has that. Thank you, corn. I've got carrots on my mind. I've got scallions for the topping. I went to buy more scallions, and of all things, they were out of them. So I only have two little weeny scallions here, but it's just for the topping. Okay. All right. And we'll go over what's in the teriyaki sauce after that. So we're going to cut the fish into about 2-inch chunks, like that. All right. And I cut it down like this. And so what I want to be doing is taking off the skin. Can everybody see that? Just get a little lower. And there may be lots of different ways people doing this, but I usually do this and just run my knife right underneath between the flesh and the skin, and it usually comes out pretty well. Some people really love crispy salmon skin, so you can save it and fry it if you'd like. Not for this dish, but you can save it for something else. All right, I'm gonna one piece here, and then you have now at least something to grip over here and take the salmon off like that. All right. And the other thing about keeping the skin, taking the skin off, is you can see a little bit better when the fish is cooked. Okay. All right. So my hands are still kind of messy and smelly here. I'm just going to put this here. So it's a good time for us to cut everything up. I've got a bowl, separate bowl to put my chunks in. And I should have started with the zucchini because now I have to use a clean knife and everything. If I started with the vegetables, I could have used that same knife for this. But anyway, okay. So let's cut our salmon up into about, you don't want to make it too small because it will fall apart. All right. And when it cooks, it gets nice and soft. So we're going to cut it into about 2-inch pieces like that. Okay.
So in other words, Deb, you're saying if it's too small, it gets flaky.
Flaky. Yes, exactly. Like me. So here we go. All right. And some people actually will cook a whole, like a quarter of a salmon whole, and then put it on top. And it looks very nice. But this is just a little bit easier to eat. All right. So I'll just cut this up like that. right? And as with a lot of things in Asian cooking, Japanese cuisine, things are generally cut to the same size, okay? Because they're the mouth feel inside your mouth is very similar. You also can pick things up easily with your chopsticks as well. And they also cook at a similar rate, although we're not cooking the zucchini and the carrots at the same, the zucchini and the salmon at the same time. All right, so is everybody with me? Cutting everything up? All right.
Yeah, I see thumbs up.
Thumbs up. And once everything is cut and organized, it's really a pretty quick meal to prepare. All right, my rice is nice and hot and ready. This recipe should serve 4 people, okay? Even if it's 4 Americans, I think there's enough food here. Although I did not write this down on the recipe, you can put a little bit of sake on the salmon if you want. It helps to sort of absorb some of the odors. I'll put a little bit of salt on it now. Okay, no lemon juice, no lemon juice. I would put sake on this. If you have some, sprinkle a little sake on, all right? I just put it on the side now. All right, I'm gonna take my board and my hands, bring them to the sink, and then we'll get to the vegetables. And does everybody have their zucchini now? Is everybody using zucchini? All right, we're gonna take off the top and the bottom like that and cut it in half. And we basically want similar size to this, right? So what I'm gonna do though is I'm gonna cut this down in half like that, all right? So now I've got.
If no squash, no zucchini, what kind of vegetables would you suggest?
Good question. You could put broccoli, you know, in it, anything that we're looking for green here. Some kind of green, something with not a vastly different texture than salmon, okay? So we don't want something terribly crunchy like that. You could use mushrooms. They would be great as well. And so I've got these sliced down here like that in 2 slabs. And now I'm going to cut it again in half. And then about 2-inch chunks. All right, I've got a shallow pan here. And what we're going to do is we're going to be cooking the zucchini first. And then in butter and oil, and I will take those out. And then we'll cook the salmon, and I will take that out. And then I'll wipe the pan. I'm trying to be really good and just use 1 pot here. All right, 1 pot. And then we're going to make the teriyaki sauce right in here. And then we can talk a little bit more about teriyaki when we get there. All right, so I'm going to put in, we have 2 tablespoons of butter, but we're only using 1 tablespoon now and a ½ tablespoon of canola oil. Okay, this is my regular canola oil. It calls for 1 tablespoon in the recipe. I'm only using half of that now. 1 tablespoon of butter, ½ tablespoon of oil, and on a medium flame, right? And then we'll add the zucchini. Okay. And cook this down for about 2 or 3 minutes. One of the tips when you're cooking and seasoning food, it's always a good idea to add salt while you're cooking the vegetable. It absorbs the flavor more, cooks a little bit more quickly. Okay, all right. Keep moving, Deborah. It's almost 6 o'clock. We're gonna keep going. So to cook this down for about a minute or 2, about 2 or 3 minutes, and get that cooking. All right, everybody with me? Right. I'm sorry if I'm going over a little bit. I usually do. All right, here we go. This is going to get cooked a little bit more. Well, actually, no, this doesn't get cooked more. The salmon gets cooked more, but the zucchini, let's try and put that through. Okay. Keep cooking yours. I'm going to take mine out just so you can see the process next, but keep cooking yours until you have your knife goes in pretty, it's pretty soft. All right. I want you to keep going and cooking because I know it's not quite ready at this stage yet, but I don't want to hold you all up for your meals. All right. And I'm just going to put my zucchini once it's cooked in a separate bowl. And then what we're going to do, I need to turn this down because I'm burning the butter a little bit. And so while the butter is nice and hot, we're going to add the corn. Is everybody using corn? Anybody? So this is kind of a little bit of a mashup because we very often see corn on top of ramen. Okay, adding color and a little bit of texture. So I'm just going to add the corn to give it a little bit of flavor here. All right. Mix that around.
There's something beautiful about corn, butter, and shoyu, I tell you.
It is such a wonderful combination. Butter and shoyu is a good combination.
Oh, butter and shoyu, perfect.
Take a little bit of salt. All right. I'm not going to add the shoyu right now because it might burn in the pot, and I don't want to do that yet. So I've got my corn ready. Just getting it a little warm, but mostly coated. And as you know, with many Japanese things, things are put on separately. They're not all mixed up. We may mix them up later, but it's got to go on separately. So I'm just going to take the corn out now and put it in a separate bowl. Okay. Corn is cooked, zucchini is cooked. Now we're going to cook the salmon, and in goes the rest of your oil, the other half of your oil, we'll just make sure that that's oil, and your other piece of butter. Okay. There we go. And we'll melt that down. And the other reason to put the salmon in this size too is that it cooks fairly quickly. All right, in goes the salmon. That we want to drive up the heat a little bit. All right, and so what we're going to be doing here now, I have already used this bowl for raw salmon. I cannot put the cooked salmon back in this bowl. Do not put the cooked salmon back in a bowl. So bye-bye bowl. And I will take out a clean bowl. Okay. Very, very important. Same thing when you're using cutting boards. I'm pretty sure everybody knows that. Meat, fish should not be cut on the same cutting board as lettuce and vegetables. I usually keep them separate. Okay. So as you can see, this is turning pink pretty quickly. All right. So about 2 minutes on one side, and just about 2 minutes on the other side. Because after this, we're going to make the teriyaki sauce and put the salmon back in. So it'll cook another minute or two. All right. But when it starts to turn pink on one side, you can turn it over. All right. I'm using tongs. I find these very easy to use. If not, sometimes I use two things so that I have a better grip on it. All right. Right now, tongs are doing a better job for me. So this is a rather simple meal. for a cooking class, but I'd like everybody to be able to feel like they can cook something that doesn't take 2 hours to make, and you still can have something very delicious.
And teriyaki is very versatile, right, Deb? I mean, you can do salmon, you can do tofu. Can't you use the same ingredient for chicken?
Yes, same chicken. The only thing I have not used teriyaki sauce for is pork. Does anybody use teriyaki for pork? I don't usually see it as a combo. But if you were making this with tofu, you would be frying the tofu like this. You'd have cut it up. And this is just about ready to take out to make sure I got everything on.
And Deb, I think to answer your question, right? I think you can use pork for teriyaki. I just feel like pork goes much better with ginger and soy sauce, like shogayaki. I mean, yeah, you can do teriyaki, but I don't think it goes as well as salmon or as tofu or chicken. I think sort of lighter taste things goes better with I think teriyaki sauce because it's sweet.
Yes. Okay. This is enough cooking on this. All right. It's not completely cooked through. It's almost cooked through. And I'm going to turn off the thing and just give it a minute. And the residual heat will cook this a little bit more gently without overdoing it. All right. So I'm just going to take my bowl and remove the pieces. We're using one pot, but we're using a lot of bowls. So, no. All right. If you find that this is too large a piece for you, you can make these smaller. You just have to be aware of the cooking time. That's all. All right. And then what we're going to do is, this is very oily now. We're going to wipe this out with paper towel. I have enough oil in here that I can, I'm going to actually dump it out. And we're going to make the teriyaki sauce in here. And we'll talk about that in just 1 second. So I'm just going to take out this oil, and then we're going to wipe it around, and we're going to make the teriyaki right in here. This is a little bit not exactly traditional way to make teriyaki sauce, and I'll explain that, but it's going to give us a good base for it. So let me.
And Deb, we have a question. How would you cook the tofu? Same way as salmon?
Yes, exactly the same.
Exactly. So cut them in one bite size kind of square, and then just pan fry it just the way you did it.
Fry it exactly the way I did it, just exactly the same way. And you want to use firm tofu. You do not have to coat the tofu with katakuriko or flour or anything. Just, nice hot pan, and you're cooking it the same way.
But wrap it in paper towel so that it can the water comes out a little bit, right?
Yes. So teriyaki, 2 words. Teri means glaze, and yaki means grill. So this is a glaze that's usually used on grilled food. The ingredients are generally soy sauce, sake, alcohol, mirin, alcohol, sugar, okay, and water. Sometimes I put in a slice of ginger. We are not using sake today because generally we're teaching kids to do this, and we really can't do sake with children, even though what happens is you typically take the sake and the mirin and you boil it, and the alcohol actually comes out of it, but we're not doing that today. We're going to be using 6 tablespoons of soy sauce. If anybody is gluten-free, you can use tamari, no problem, okay? And so this is my little handy dandy soy sauce container, and I'm just going to find something to measure it over, because I am not measuring it over the bowl. That's the frying pan, that's for sure. All right, let me get my tablespoon. So we're going for 6 tablespoons of soy sauce right into the pan. Okay, but I'm measuring out here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, whoops, and 6. All right, so I've got 6 tablespoons of soy sauce and 3 tablespoons of sugar. Okay, this is as Yuko said, very, very, it's sweet and salty. So we can put in our sugar. Now, I'm just double checking this is not salt. So hang on a second. Sugar, okay, sugar. You can put in less if you want. 1 tablespoon of mirin, which is the sweet rice wine, okay, and sugar. It is sugary. So 1 tablespoon of that in here, and 1 tablespoon of water, okay? This is water, yeah. All right. And so what I'm going to do is mix this up, and then I'll turn on the heat, and we'll get it cooking. So this tends to thicken. We get a thicker soy sauce, and also the salmon, the fat from the salmon also helps to congeal it too. So I've just mixed this around, and let's turn on the heat. All right.
Deb, how high is the heat for the teriyaki sauce?
I've got it at medium high, okay? But just to get it boiling, sugar and soy sauce burn, okay? So you have to be careful, just as I'm getting it boiling. It also depends on the kind of pan that you have. This pan tends to get very hot. You can see these bubbles here. So I'm going to lower the heat now. Once I've got it going and I know the sugar is dissolved, I'm going to lower the heat. Okay.
And Deb, another question for those of us who's using tofu, how long would you let the tofu sit in the paper towel?
I let that sit in for 25 minutes, 30 minutes. Okay. Another way to get the liquid out is to put the tofu in the microwave for 2 minutes on a plate, and the liquid comes out as well. Okay. And when you're cooking the tofu, you just want to kind of brown it on all sides. Okay, I am ready to put in the salmon. We can put the salmon directly in here. Okay. We'll just move it around a little bit. Okay. And now I will drive the heat up a bit. All right. All right. While this is cooking, you shouldn't do anything else, because walking away from teriyaki sauce, you're going to end up with a burnt pan. You know, my instinct is, oh, I'm going to put rice in the bowl now, but don't do that. Just stand here with the teriyaki and salmon teriyaki and pay attention to it. It's okay that it's bubbling. You want to turn it over. We are going to be able to use the sauce more on it, but we're just doing the final cooking in the sauce now. Okay, and this is really very quick. It's about a minute or so. And I'm not exactly sure what the chemical is in salmon that helps to congeal the the teriyaki sauce, but it helps to make it thicker. All right. Only when we turn off the pan will we start getting ready to put the meal together. But can you see now that my sauce is bubbling and getting nice and thick? Okay. All right. Just going to turn over the other pieces just to make sure I've got the soy sauce on there. And then we'll turn off. Okay. All right, that's nice and thick. I'm going to turn off the pan now. I'm going to turn off the heat now. Just let it sit for a minute. Like that. All right. So now we're ready to start to build the bowl. Let me just get rid of the pan and the cooker. I'll just move this off to the side. Okay. And you get your bowls ready. All right. You've got your bowls. You want to add your corn over here. You've got that ready. You've got the zucchini, like this. My rice is over here in my handy dandy rice cooker. Now we need sesame seeds. This is for the topping. All right. And chop up some scallions. Add that. So I'm going to get 2 bowls ready here. And I'm going to get my salmon. Okay. All right. Let me see. All right. Let's, so here we have to think Japanese, not American. We are not filling the bowl with rice up to here. We're going to fill the bowl with rice up to about just halfway. All right. You see this beautiful pattern. I think this is this an octopus tentacle pattern? Yuko-san, do you know that is the style of this? I think is.
No, I think it's I could be wrong. It's karaksa moyo, right? So it's, yeah, it's definitely not octopus.
So you see that? There's my rice. We can always add more, but we're going to enryo suru, which is to hold back a little bit, be a little restrained in what we're going to do here. And now we're just going to build our bowl with our ingredients, and we're just going to add. So what we're going to do, and like a lot of things in Japanese cuisine, when you see them, the food are grouped with other like foods. We're not kind of mixing this all up now. So we're kind of just adding it, pieces of salmon with the salmon. Okay. With that, maybe 5 or 6 pieces. Let me put this down a little bit from here. And we've got all this delicious teriyaki sauce. Don't worry, we're going to use it. All right. And depending, you can always add food to it, but you don't really want to go cuckoo in the beginning, right? Piling the plate. Where that. And then you'll add your vegetables, zucchini, broccoli, avocado, whatever you want. Okay. So now what we'll do is take some of your teriyaki sauce that you have in the bowl with a spoon. Okay. And drizzle on top. Make sure you get it underneath. There will go into the rice as well. Now, if you don't want to put this teriyaki sauce, it has, kind of the fish flavor in it on top of the zucchini, you don't have to, but it really enhances the whole dish to do that. So you see, I've added about 2 tablespoons. Okay. And then I'll put some of my corn right on top. Like this. Okay. Some roasted sesame seeds, irigoma. On top of that. And then finally, a sprinkling of your scallions. Okay. Can everybody see? All right. And you have that teriyaki sauce on the side that you're welcome to add on as you go. You can put it in a little bowl and add more on. So let's put this on the side. I'm going to put my tray together here and we will get ready for the meal. All right. And we have our salad. Where did she go? Right here. Let me just move things over so you can see it flat on. And let's take our salad dressing. There we go. All right. There. And I will use my salad dressing from my jar. All right. And add it to the top of your salad. It's strong, so you should taste it first. Okay, just want to make sure that everybody's got that. All right. Again, you can always add more. Let me get some underneath the heart, just showing off there. Okay. So your meal is ready. You would have, you can eat this with your chopsticks. Koreans eat bowls like this, bibimbap with a spoon, but I think you're well to do it with your chopsticks. Where did I put those? And I had my, okay. And everybody knows that, I don't know, this is backwards here. Wait a minute. Is this how we're seeing it? Your chopsticks go to the right. It's backwards. Yeah. Okay. Chopsticks to the right. Anybody know why? Chopsticks go to the right. And there's a chopsticks hashioki right here, which I left in my closet, but I'm going to use a piece of scallion. Get a little creative there. All right. So this is our meal. And I'm just going to get out my ice cream and the azuki beans. And we will have a complete meal with a dessert. So what I like to do when I have a dinner party or whatever is I scoop the ice cream out into a ball. So I have it all ready and it's nice and cold. So let me go get that.
And while we wait, actually, I think, Deb, you're right. When I was a little kid, they used to, make even left-handed people become right-handed, but I think it's less so these days. So when I have a dinner party and I know somebody who is left-handed, I actually do put the chopstick from the left side, so it's easy for that person to eat.
Well, that's all part of the concept of omotenashi, which is having somebody feel, the host is being very gracious and thinking about the guest and the guest's comfort. So that's a very big part of Japanese culinary culture, I mean, part of culture anyway, the whole concept of omotenashi. And so now, again, as I said, when we're introducing new foods, who doesn't like vanilla ice cream? Or you can use matcha ice cream. I have a sweet azuki beans, yude azuki, and or you could use subuan if you want. Sorry, that light is a little hot. And then I just put them right on top. And if you think of it as sort of a hot fudge sundae concept, you just have your azuki beans there. And people are very surprised. Sweetened beans. I mean, beans in Boston are sweet. Baked beans are sweet, but this is actually served as a dessert. You can put a little cookie there, and you have the meal. All right, everybody. Here we go. This is our meal for today. We have our teriyaki salmon donburi, our salad with carrot dressing and delicious vanilla ice cream with azuki beans. So I'm going to stop my share. Excellent, everybody. All right. So I hope you enjoyed the class, and I'm pretty sure you're going to enjoy the meal. And we'd love to have any feedback if you have some.
Deborah 先生、ありがとうございました。Thank you very much. And thank you, our lovely, lovely audience, for joining us. I know this is a Saturday night. You could have been somewhere else doing something else, and we appreciate that you joined us. And hopefully, またすぐお会いできることを期待して、hopefully we'll get to see you soon. Have a good Saturday. And for those of you who cooked, どうぞ良いお食事を。Have fun eating.